certified real.
Hey, I'm a little excited.
You heard it here first. Certified real. Airborne.
You are now listening to Real Talk Podcast.
This is certified. Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Talk Podcast. We got a heavy episode today. It's your boy Gills. Got the usual suspects in the building: Xavier, Terrell, Banks, and we got Beasley Adams. Today we're talking about ensemble casts in movies. And what ensemble cast really means is with a production is, anytime that you have, the principal actors have kind of share the same kind of screen time. And, they're telling a story from multiple angles, from multiple perspectives, and there's a lot of movies like that you've seen. So in multiple genres. So I guess I started off by saying, what genre do you think benefits the most from having an ensemble cast?
Heist films.
What'd you say?
Heist films.
Oh, I ain't hear it. I think dramas. Oh, I know. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think heist films always do amazing with those type with ensemble that type of meaning that you're looking for. And I think as of late, horror films are kind of picking up on that trend too.
I thought you would have said that from jump.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was gonna go.
Not because like some of the horror films that I know or the audience is more familiar with are not really like that, right? They just run away from the killer from the final girl type look. But now like the Conjuring films, the Insidious films, the It film, they're starting to give you more perspectives from different characters, making different characters important. So like we got like the It film, only one of the main characters died. Well, two. You know what I'm saying? Usually back in the day, Freddy Krueger, they all died, but that one girl at the end, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say action because that kind of falls in line with the heist films. And then you can also state the obvious with the superhero films, how, a lot of that is, just kind of diving into each individual character so they get that equal amount of screen time. So, yeah, I would have to definitely go with action.
I was leaning more towards comedy. Like yeah, I say heist, obviously, but like heist, sometimes it bleeds into comedy. But a lot of comedies, when you have the big name people that you've seen, they're doing the Hangovers, or you're doing the the world is gonna end. The 40-Year-Old Virgin was like, or Anchorman, those kind of things. Even throw back to like Harlem Nights, where you can say it's kind of a comedy / dramedy kind of thing. So yeah, I think comedy, to me, like you're gonna get the most bang for your buck if you have the right actors in the right places. But heist movies, you can't argue against.
What came out of my mouth was drama, but I meant suspense thrillers. Like I feel like when you're doing a who's the killer type movie and you bouncing around to each person, I feel like they
Knives Out, like
things like
or
that.
Even Hannibal. Yeah.
Yes. And movies that are like heavy on like flashbacks. Like maybe you came into the movie and you've seen the scenario and then they play it back. I feel like when it leads up, when they be having them lead up, that's not a particular type of film, but movies that normally incorporate stuff like that. Normally when they jump from each person's perspective on that, it's pretty dope.
I saw a lot of agreements with as far as heist films go. So like what do you think are some gems, or what do you think is the top gem when it comes to heist? I think I know we're gonna state the obvious, but like with the ensemble cast, like what do you think? Who if we could set aside like an Ocean's 11, because I already know people are gonna lean towards that. Like what else is there out there?
Everybody was
Ocean's 12.
Yeah, clearly.
I think it's kind of tough when you say ensemble cast, right? Because when you thought about the topic and you put it in the chat, I looked at it from different aspects, right? So I was looking at it from, you have ensemble cast as in a lot of star power, and I feel like that's something that like heist movies kind of have to have in a way. Like the cop that's chasing the bad guy is usually a big name, and then the bad guy is usually a big name or something like that. But to answer that, outside of the obvious ones, I first thought of was Takers, but I felt like that was an ensemble cast based on like star power, not necessarily, an assembled of, good production, and meaning of, et cetera, et cetera. I was just looking at, for that film, I was just looking at it straight from, like the star power, like the popularity of the actors, and they was able to put all of these, dope actors in their own right on screen.
Yeah,
So
Takers like guilty pleasure of mine. Yeah, I love Takers.
Yeah.
So essentially, like an ensemble cast is basically it has to be a group of actors that are well known in the industry, or does it have to do with their performance at all? Because we'll probably get into that later. There's been a couple of films with a bunch of big name actors, but the films didn't really execute well. So what exactly is like an ensemble cast we're talking about?
And to add to that, there's also been like movies that that happened in like the early 80s or early 90s that 10 years later we look back at it and it's like, yo, they had some real firepower in that film, but at the time those particular actors wasn't where they at now. So that's another thing that we gotta dissect a little bit too.
I was gonna say that same thing. I felt like before we started, I felt like a lot of the movies that we're gonna people are gonna bring up, because everybody in here is a movie head in some shape, form, or fashion. I feel like we were gonna find a lot of films where it's like that person wasn't even that big then, and now or you gonna go back and watch an older movie and you be like, damn, he in it, she in it, and that's definitely.
Or the fact that we might say a film that some people don't know, like, oh, I didn't even know he was in that, or that's crazy, what I'm saying, so you have that aspect of things too.
Yeah, that the movie that first comes to mind, like when it, I guess other than like Ocean's 11 kind of thing, or somebody who uses it a lot, would be for me Tarantino. Like when I think of it, I think Pulp Fiction was like that's the one where you got Travolta, you got Samuel L. Jackson, and these are heavy hitters at the times, or Ving Rhames, Bruce Willis. You know what I mean? You got
Uma Thurman.
Yeah, Uma Thurman. Yeah, Uma Thurman. Yeah, everybody was in there. So I was like, yeah, Tarantino loves to do that with his films. He's grabbing actors from different genres, different people you might not have seen in a while, throw them in there and just mix them in the bunch and see how the story plays out. So what I mean, because when you see the ensemble cast movies and or you see like a trailer for it, you like, oh, this person in it, there's a whole bunch of people in it. Have you ever seen a movie like where you might have seen the anticipation with the cast was higher than what you got, like you got disappointed at the end result of the
cast movie? Yes. What did you say you get, Beasley?
The Expendables.
Oh yeah, Expendables is definitely one of them.
Yeah,
I had an even more.
They advertised like 5 of them, then they had 5 extra in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, even aside from that, you got how many of those people were in that movie? How many stars were in that movie?
Those are the big
everyone.
Those are the big
everyone.
It was Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Norris.
Was Van Damme
on? I mean, in different films, you had different ones.
Van Damme was a bad guy in one.
We could just you just want to talk about the first one?
We could just talk about the first one. I'm just saying, like, a lot with the first one alone. Like,
so you got Sylvester.
You got Stallone, Statham. You got Dolph Lundgren. You
Terry
got
Crews,
Jet Li. You got
Randy Couture.
I mean, come on, man. It's too many.
Wesley,
and
Mickey Rourke.
You guys,
Antonio Banderas. Stone Cold.
The list goes on.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like,
question though.
Terry Crews.
Why was Terry Crews in that movie?
He's a big guy.
No. Comedic relief. Comedic relief. Okay. He was solely in that for comedic relief. Son.
Yeah, he was a big name at that time. I mean,
but he was.
I felt like the jokes
between
them. I felt like the jokes between them was like comedic enough. It was just like I was like, damn, Terry Crews here too. Like it was like I was like, shit.
But I think they didn't know that going into it. I think that was like that happened after they probably already cast it and shit like that. They definitely didn't need Terry Crews, but I do think he was casted for the comedic relief because that's what he was doing that like with the Chris Rock show and all that shit. He was kind of a comedic relief actor.
Why don't Terry Crews do more action movies? I mean, well,
Oh, he's trash, man. Stop. I don't even know why we
Okay.
You did it on purpose. He did it on purpose, bro. He did it on purpose. He did that. We know Gills. Everybody in here know. Everybody in the
I
circle
didn't do that
know
on
Gills.
purpose. I
Yes,
didn't do that on
You
purpose.
know you ain't no Terry Crews
I
fan.
take it back.
What you was doing? You was trying to maneuver us. We're not talking about that
We're
shit.
not talking
We're
about
trying to-
that.
We're
Good
not
try.
You gotta go
Good
back
try,
to
bro.
the. You gotta go back to the John Henry episode, Gills, and see why we don't
Good
talk
job.
about
Good
this.
job.
Not
though.
to say it. I was
Good
trying
try,
not to
though,
say
bro.
it. Okay, my bad.
That was a
my bad.
So
great
anyways,
try.
back to what I was saying, the Expendables, and then these niggas doubled down and had like how many more?
Danny Trejo is in that. Can't forget Danny Trejo.
Then
Right,
they
but
was
how many-
bringing in. Then they
There's
brought
two
How
in
many more did
current
they have?
stars.
Two more?
Yeah.
That's,
more, yeah.
that's
Two.
OD, man. That's OD. And
Then they was bringing in
for it to
current
be-
stars. They
To-
had
to-
Ronda Rousey when she was when she was running shit.
Yeah.
A lot of shit. Yeah, they.
Yeah, that's too much. And it
I think-
didn't do nothing. That's terrible.
Yeah, I think that's like to piggyback off what you're saying. I think that it was like for a hot second, it was kind of like a trend to try to do that. Like they had that 18 with Idris Elba, and
Yeah, but that
what's
was way better.
Oh, you talking about
Yeah.
the losers?
yeah,
Losers. Not
they had
yeah.
they had the Lewis and the 18. I think he was. I'm pretty sure.
18 was
both of them.
18 was what's your boy? The
Quinn
USC
Rampage
fighter.
Yeah,
Jackson.
yeah,
Yeah.
but he wasn't the bad
Rampage.
guy in 18.
Bradley
Uh-uh.
Cooper.
Or was he
the
the
bad
bad
guy
guy in
18 was
Losers?
he was the bad guy in Losers. He was a good guy, but
Yeah,
he
yeah.
switched on him in Losers.
Yeah. But,
And then at 18,
both
I don't
movies,
remember who it was.
did it. You know what I'm saying? Both
Yeah.
movies had that, like where they had that action trying to assemble the team. I just felt like it was just an era, just that couple of years that they tried it to see if it worked, and it kind of fell. But Sylvester Stallone in his later years is doing that more so. Like with there's another movie where he did the same thing. I can't remember it. He's doing it with Creed, but I think that's
boxing
just
movie.
now. What's the
talking about
movie? The one where he breaks out of prison, Escape.
Oh,
Escape.
with
Yeah.
him and in the first
There's a
one it was
couple.
him and
Was it Dolph
Arnold
again?
Schwarzenegger, 50 Cent.
Him
It was
and
a couple of-
Schwarzenegger was the first one, and
Yeah.
then he kept going back and doing them with other
Batista.
people.
I think Batista was in one of them. Yeah. So
Your boy.
I think back in the day, an assembled cast was kind of like an art in a way, and I think now an assembled cast is more like a money grab. If that makes sense.
Because like back in the day, like you didn't see enough of it with with people in their prime.
Yeah,
Now
that's
they do it after the fact.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see, Seagal and Van Damme, and whoever duke it out and in whatever. But now it's like
That's why I feel like it's more of a money grab now, because now we getting a Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, but when they was in their prime in the 80s and 90s, they wouldn't even touch it. You know what I'm saying? Like they would not, they wouldn't even have that discussion to be in the same film. You know what I'm saying? So, but I also think now we're in a world where it's about money. Like, yo, how we can make more money together rather than before it was like, it's me, I want to do it by myself type thing. Like, just like you're seeing with the Vin Diesel and the Rock type thing, because one of the biggest ensemble cast films are those Fast and Furious films, you know what I'm saying? And it's all for a money grab.
I didn't get my disappointer. The Widows. Because when I seen that trailer, I was like, "Oh, like this is." I thought it was gonna be.
Man, it wasn't that bad.
I'm really mad at it though. Like I thought it was gonna set it off.
I know.
Set it off.
It wasn't that bad.
But look at the cast though. You got Viola Davis.
Or Viola Davis.
No, Viola Davis.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell. You got Daniel Kaluuya, John Bernthal. You got a lot of people in this, and it just didn't pan out. Michelle Rodriguez, but it just didn't.
Robert
pan out.
Duvall.
Robert Duvall, yeah.
Brian Tyree Henry.
Yeah.
It wasn't as assembled as Liam Neeson. It wasn't Michelle Rodriguez. Yeah. It wasn't as assembled as some of the other ones that we talked, but I did have we got Viola Davis and Liam Neeson and Colin Farrell. I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? So it did give that feel though.
I only bring that up just to say, like, as disappointing as that was, a movie like Set It Off is an underrated ensemble cast, like Jim kind of there.
But that's what I was.
It's because of when it took place. They weren't. They weren't
like that. Yeah. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like, there's gonna be films that 20 years ago that we watched and it's not an ensemble cast, and then fast forward 20 years, we're like, oh, that's Jada Pinkett. Queen Latifah and so Vivica Fox, like, yo, they're really prominent right now. That they're household names. but they wasn't that, back in those days. So
Right.
that's what
That's
that's what I was talking about.
That's like the majority of my list of the movies that we're to pick out. As far as ensembles are going to all be from pretty much 80s and 90s. One movie that I was talking about with my wife was Poetic Justice. Talk about a bunch of
Regina
people
King
before their time and
early
names.
Regina
I mean,
King.
goddamn, like that whole cast literally is a bunch of hitters. Like, and then not to mention we got Tupac in that bitch. Like, come on now.
Above the rim.
That's
Bernie Mac, Dwayne
I'm
Martin,
not gonna
Leon.
that to me that's a personal favorite. Like I don't think.
I got you.
Accept that more. You know what I'm saying? Like
we should have like a guilty pleasure category if we get to that.
We should. I mean, I feel like it's.
I'm with that one because that's one of my favorite movies, Above the Rim.
Oh yes. And then
it's not that great, but
I think my bust was that new film with Mike Epps, Meet the Blacks too.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Nah. And that's what I be talking about.
I ain't get to watch it because she even want to watch. I ain't get to watch it. Damn.
Don't waste your time.
X, I'm glad you brought that up because I had a question going off of what you're saying. I want to hear what you have to say about it. But when does it become forced? I feel like a movie like that is forced.
And I feel like that's why I didn't say comedy when you asked, because I feel like we see that so often in comedy that a lot of comedies always have like that 1-2 punch of two comedians feeding off each other. So I feel like it's more so of a standard rather than an assembled cast kind of way. But I feel like this, like what Beasley is saying, a lot of comedies do that. Like we do see that they just grab comedies like Harlem Nights. They just grab the best comics that they got of the era of their time because they're all friends. They all came up together. Like they all know each other. So they have a movie, right? Like Mike Epps is shooting a movie. Duvall pulls up on the set and he gives him a line or two, right? Because most of the time it's improv anyway, right? So I could throw him in it. I could throw him in this movie. It don't matter. We could create a character on the flow. And I felt like that's what a lot of comedy assembled casts are, right? They just we have an idea for the scene, go. And I felt like that's what Meet the Blacks 2 was. And it just hit. It just missed. You know what I'm saying? Like it just was a miss. But if you look at the cast, it's ridiculous how many people, comedians, social media comedians, are in it.
It wasn't coming together like it. You got Mike Epps, Michael Blackson, Gary Owen,
Little Duvall,
Rick Ross
you had in it.
Ha Ha Davis,
Andrew Batchelor, the King Batchelor is in it. Snoop Dogg.
Every time somebody say his real name, I don't know who he is until they say King Batch.
So you got so many comedians, so many. Danny Trejo is even in the movie. You got so many comedians, so many people that can make you laugh on and off the screen. It's just you get to a point where it's it's too much. It's even times where Mike Epps said a joke and I'm laughing. Cat Williams said a joke right after, and I can't even enjoy the next joke that happened. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like that's where it's too much. You know what I'm saying? We're all funny, but it's too much. And then me personally, I'm a filmmaker. I want to be a filmmaker. I want to see a story no matter what it is. And then you can see they get away from a story. It's just let's be funny on screen. You know what I'm saying?
To add on to that, I was in the theater watching that movie, and I'm glad you brought that up because you'll have, for example, you'll have Cat Williams tell one joke. You're laughing, and then Mike Epps will slip in a low-key, funny-ass joke, but nobody will hear it because they're laughing at the previous joke. Yeah. I'm like, did anyone else not catch that?
Catch it on the rewatch. Catch it on the rewatch, right?
Right.
If it's rewatchables.
Yeah. So, but that's why I didn't agree with the comedy, because I feel like in most comedies you have, two pretty funny people, whether it's a comedic and you have a comedian who's an actual comedian, and then you have somebody that's a comedic actor. And then they're on screen, and then now you got a funny movie, or you got an ensemble of some of the best comedians that we ever seen touch the screen, and then they're out there. I mean, Harlem Nights, I feel, is a good story, so it's a little bit different. I'm not comparing it to Meet the Blacks, of course, but it has that same formula that they probably bid off that, oh, this works, let's do this.
That's my personal.
So
I was going to ask if that was the exception of the rule, because I mean, that's just.
I think I wouldn't say it's an exception of the rule because it's in the 80s where things like that probably wasn't as prominent as they are now, right?
Mm.
But and then again, it just depends on how it's done because I'll sit back and I'll watch Franco films, right? What's his name?
James Franco.
James Franco
Seth
films.
Rogen.
And every film he does is this ensemble cast, but they work together on everything. But
Right.
their films
Sandler
legitimately
Same
be
thing.
funny. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a hit and miss sometimes. But those type of movies usually have some form of an ensemble cast, like automatically, right?
I think the Franco, like for the Franco and the Adam Sandlers, I feel like they work with the same people so much they have that chemistry.
Yeah.
So there's no coming in, there's no feeling out point with some like Meet the Blacks. It's like, yeah, these dudes know each other, but how often are y'all working together, like consistently? So
in this field, in that atmosphere,
exactly,
which I think Adam Sandler does great. But it's a little bit different with Adam Sandler too, because Adam Sandler is the comedian or the comedic actor, and then we could say Adam Sandler is the comedian, right? Like he's the funny guy, and then he just placed himself with a lot of funny actors, comedic actors, and then you can add like a Chris Rock, a real stand-up comedian, and get that humor from him, or that different style of humor from him. And I think that's what makes it so good, is because they have different styles of humor that works together. But then you got, Meet the Blacks, where you got 4 stand-up comedians and they're just up there, doing the same type of comedy. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. What's when you need the right director to rein it in if you're gonna have a comedy like that. Like, all right, but this is not usable. Let's just do.
I never even noticed it was this prominent in comedies though. Like I never noticed that until you said that shit. And I got to think. Every comedy I tried to think about how to be a player. Yep.
Yeah.
Like I just went down the list. I was like, all of them. Every especially and black rom-coms too. Black rom-coms period, but black rom-coms, like we killed it with the ensemble cast joint.
I think
rom-coms like you all it started to get to like even the white ones, it started to get to a point where like, oh, let's make one on Valentine's Day with a whole bunch of A-list actors. Let's make one on New Year's Eve. A whole bunch of A-list actors. It just started to become a thing.
I think it's a little bit different though on how you look at the ensemble class. I think with rom-coms is we think it's ensemble because we see the same actors doing the same type of films, right? So like how we talked about Gabrielle Union, Morris Chestnut. If you got them two, they're always in rom-coms. So if you're gonna make a rom-com, you want to get one or two of them or both. You know what I'm saying? And then that's what rom-coms have been for so long. So I kind of don't even count that as an ensemble cast in a way.
You're basically saying they're necessarily
that's the formula.
Yeah,
right,
I think that's just their formula. Like they need one of the two or two of the prominent actors in that field, for people to come see it. I was looking at, ensemble cast, like I said, takers. You got Idris Elba that's over there dominating, films in Europe. And then you got Chris Brown dominating music. And then you got actual actors, not saying that Elba's not an actor, but Michael Ealy and the dude from
Paul
Walker and the dude from Star Wars.
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, and then you put all these dudes together and you got a dope film. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was looking at when it comes to the ensemble cast type thing.
And I actually like T.I.'s acting in that.
Yeah, T.I. did.
T.I. did well. Like even Chris Brown said, like the action scenes were incredible with him in them. So I was like,
shit. And then you gotta think about they had Matt what's his name playing the cop? Matt Dillon.
Yeah.
Damn, what's his name?
His name Jay Hernandez.
Jay Hernandez from I was gonna say from the first Hostel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was in it. But I have a sneaky one that I think y'all know, but I don't know if y'all would have thought about it. I just lost it. Smoking Aces. Have y'all seen Smoking Aces?
Yeah. That's not a sneaky one though for me.
So I think the reason why I think Smoking Aces is sneaky is because I think people forget about it. And then you also had some actors that wasn't as prominent as they are now, like Ryan Reynolds, Taraji P, Alicia Keys. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But if you look at the cast, it's crazy. Even without them, because you got Ray Liotta, you got old actors, Joseph Ruskin, Wayne Newton made a little cameo. Then you got Peter Berg, who you
Jeremy
see,
Piven.
who you were seeing all over
Alicia
the place.
Keys.
Yep.
Common just pick
Common.
up music.
Ben Affleck was in it. You had Ben Affleck in it. So that's why I picked it, and I thought it was a dope story, and I feel like that's one thing that's kind of hard.
Who played Aces? Jeremy Piven?
Yeah, Jeremy
Piven,
Piven.
Yeah, Jeremy Piven.
And then you had this, I forget the other dude's name. Give me a second. I'm about to look for it. I forget the other dude names that I fuck with because I think he's a dope. It had Andy Garcia in it also. What is his name? What is the dude's name? Chris Pine was in it. Kevin Durant, that's his name. I feel like Kevin Durant
I know you're talking about.
should get almost an award.
I only know one Kevin Durant.
Right.
For
Yeah.
real?
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking the
Google
same
Kevin
thing.
Durant.
I'm about to because I'm like, I
Kevin
don't know
Durant.
one Kevin Durant.
You're gonna know him, and when you see him, you're gonna be like, "Yo, You ever seen I Am Number 4?
Yeah, the main.
He was the
main
monster. Yeah, he was the main monster.
I have a question, guys.
Yeah.
Would you agree, or what do you think about like this topic? Because like I was looking at all the superhero films, and when they first started, some of the actors that they choose aren't so big of a name until they get into this universe where they're superheroes, and then over the years, now you're making a whole bunch of different superhero films. Now that's what they're well known for. So do you think that superhero movies are the formula to creating a great ensemble cast down the line?
Yeah, I'll say that, but the reason I didn't bring up superhero movies is for the exact reason you said it, because when they got cast, Chris Evans' best role was what? Johnny Storm, terrible movie though, and then Not Another Teen Movie. That's the only thing I can remember him in. Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man was literally his comeback. Scarlett Johansson was like cool, but she wasn't like a big name though. Chris Hemsworth had never heard of him before he played Thor. Mark Ruffalo, I only knew about him in one other movie. Jeremy Renner, I knew who he was, but again, he's kind of like Scarlett Johansson. It wasn't, so, and I mean, Samuel Jackson was the only one that's like solid.
I mean, but this is literally the biggest franchise of all time. So no matter what you were, it's gonna make you more of whatever the hell you were. So if you were a B-list actor, you're gonna be A-list. If you were A-list already, you're gonna be A++. You know what I mean?
No, because Jeremy Renner is not an A-list actor. I'm not.
Who?
Jeremy Renner? Hawkeye?
Yes, he is.
What
I'm gonna say is I'm gonna disagree because I think most of these actors were prominent already before they got Marvel films, because that's the reason why they got the Marvel film. So like if you look at what they've done, especially Robert Downey Jr., they were already prominent.
I'm saying Robert Downey Jr., had he not been addicted to drugs and went to jail, he would have been there. But that was his comeback.
He was there even then.
Yeah, that was his comeback. Like I think that was like his first.
He was on the comeback. He was on the comeback.
No, I'm not saying he wasn't on a comeback, but what I'm saying is he was already prominent. Like Robert Downey Jr. was a household name, whether it was a comeback or not a comeback. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, Iron Man made that comeback that much easier, but he was already a prominent name. People already knew him. And but what I'm gonna say is they picked. It's an ensemble cast because they have to pick those type of actors because they're doing solo movies with them too. Right? So like you can't pick somebody that nobody knows that's just nothing to be your star that you're gonna go and make a solo movie with a $200 budget, which is why most of them. Chris Hemsworth had movies before.
I'm saying I didn't like as far as like them being, you saying like household names. Like I know them. I didn't know him or
Loki, or Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston.
I didn't know either one of them. That's what I'm saying. Look at their IMDb and you'll see that they've been doing something. Like Chris Hemsworth has literally been acting since 2002.
Yeah, I knew of him.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's literally been
I've watched
putting in work
before.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's why I was saying. And every last person on the Marvel cast that's a big name, like that's a big actual star, I have seen prior to them going into.
Tom Hiddleston, I did not know worth a damn before.
And some of them are English actors. You know, like I think he's an English actor.
Yeah,
he's Australian. He's English.
Overseas is what I mean. Christmas overseas.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So, but before that, they like Idris Elba has been killing over in Europe before he got his a good role over here in the States. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So they all had this decent resume, including Chris Evans had a decent resume coming into You know what I'm saying? Or that relationship, and then they just blew up from that. But what I'm saying is, I see it as an assembled class, an assembled cast, but I feel like it had to be because you need that guy or that woman to play those roles in those solo movies, which they had this huge plan to do. You know what I'm saying?
I think kind of say that. No, go ahead, Gills, because I was going off to a different point.
Oh no, because I was gonna. Well, I'll come back around. Okay, we'll come back around because I was gonna say to just answer your question real quick. It's the formula now, like for these superhero movies, because we see the formula works. I think you have to give credit to like somebody like Kevin Feige as the architect for something like that. So like where he saw we've had superhero movies before, but this is the first time that there was an actual plan in place to put them all together, which fans have been asking for like I want to see this character with this interact with this character, and we're finally getting to see it. They finally gave it to us, and now this is going to be something you're going to see for the next 20, 30 years because the formula works so well. But yeah, I think it's the formula now. It wasn't always this way. This is more recent. I mean, on a closing note, the ensemble casts, they're here for the next, couple generations, with what we've seen in the movie industry, especially with franchises becoming more prominent. Hit us up in the comments, let us know exactly how you felt about this, what you thought about the ensemble cast, and see if you got any movie picks that you agreed with, that you disagreed with. My name is Gills, and still got the usual suspects here, and I got anything to say?
Certified real.
Hey, I'm a little excited.
You heard it here first. Certified real. Everybody.
You are now listening to Real Talk Podcast.
This is Certified